Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So I was going to do an actual prepping video today, but this is going to be kind of a prepping video in reference to your economic health, let's say. However, I had not the best of days today, and I'm more than likely going to go ahead and do a video that I think you guys will like tomorrow. So be ready for a video on Wednesday that I think you guys will like. So, but we'll wait till then. We'll see what happens. All right. Let's go ahead and get to this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually going to put a little bit of my own opinion into this video. All right. But mostly I'm going to go ahead and read this article. And the title is "The Bad News: A Recession is Coming. The Good News: You have time to prepare." And that's what caught my eye, is that you have time to prepare. Right? At least in the views of the people that are writing this article. Okay, and it says here, the bad news is that a recession is most definitely coming and likely to be a global one, as the everything bubble cannot continue to inflate forever without consequences. However, the good news is that you have time to prepare yourself for the financial collapse. The big insurance companies are joining others in saying we are going to experience a recession. And you notice, ladies and gentlemen, I have not seen any articles contesting this notion that we are going to have a major recession. You know, I haven't seen any news articles saying, no, these guys are wrong, we're not going to have a recession. You know, you would think that you would see a counter to this kind of a notion that we're going to have a recession. All right. So continuing. But they also claim we have 1 year or so before it really gets ugly. So the time to prepare is now. The survey, which assessed the opinion from 307 insurance company investment chiefs and finance heads responsible for $13 trillion, found that 35% cited an economic slowdown and a United States recession as their top worry, up from 24% as of last year. And their fears are not unfounded. Earlier this month, amid signs of a slowing global economy, the IMF downgraded its 2019 forecast. Insurance companies said growth concerns are the highest risk to their investment portfolios, according to the annual survey of their views from Goldman Sachs Assessment Management Division. Insurers predict a U.S. recession is coming, just not this year, said Michael Siegel, head of Goldman Sachs Asset Management business running money for insurers, according to Barron's. As a result, they are continuing to commit capital but are more selective in the risk they are taking. A whopping 82% of those surveyed said they expect this economic downturn to happen either in 2020 or 2021, and as a U.S. recession is not a 2019 event. So they're predicting that there will not be a U.S. recession this year in 2019, but that more than likely it will happen in 2020 or 2021. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what they are saying, and you also have to keep in mind that these people that are saying this are the same people that have played a good part, all right, in getting us into the predicament that we're in now. Okay, these big banksters and big insurance company, the heads of these big insurance companies as well. All right, so let's continue. Goldman said, with only 2% of its respondents predicting economic reversal for this year, based on the fact that 2020 is an election year, the recession could very well be pushed into 2021, giving those still unprepared a chance to get their finances together before that time. And I believe that it may not happen in 2021 just for that fact, ladies and gentlemen, because it's an election year. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but there's been quite a few times that I've seen the president of the United States saying that the Federal Reserve should start cutting interest rates and should start quantitative easing. All right. And why is that? Because when you cut interest rates and you start quantitative easing, it props up the stock market, right? It doesn't necessarily prop up the economy. What cutting interest rates does is it allows people to borrow money cheaply, all right? Inexpensively, all right? So people go out there and they get into more debt because they are able to manage the debt because they're not paying as much interest, all right? What quantitative easing does is it literally means that the Fed will start printing money, literally printing money, so creating more money out of thin air, all right? When you do interest rate cuts, you're still inflating the money supply. Because, ladies and gentlemen, look at it this way. When you cut interest, let's say that we cut interest rates to 0%, right? And a lot more money is borrowed from banks. The money that is borrowed from banks, if you go out and you get a loan, let's say a car loan, right? Banks run on what's called a fractional reserve banking, meaning that they only have to have a small percentage of the money that they're loaning out. Where does the rest of that money come from? Let's say it's 10% fractional reserve banking, right? And I think it's even less than that now, all right? I think that most banks probably only have on hand maybe between 1 and 5%, all right, of the money they actually loan out. So if you go to a bank to borrow, let's say $10,000, if they're practicing fractional reserve banking, it means that they only have to have $1,000 in reserves to lend you $10,000. Okay, where does that other $9,000 come from? It gets created out of thin air, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so cutting interest rates and inducing the population or the citizenry to borrow more money is the same as printing money out of thin air. They're just using a different vehicle by which to do it. Okay, so I hope that what I just said makes sense. All right, so carrying on. There is honestly very little any of us can do. Unfortunately, voting won't help, as cutting government spending isn't the way to get oneself elected as a political overlord. As Michael Snyder pointed out recently on the Economic Collapse blog, individually, there is very little that we can do about our national debt, state and local government debt, or corporate debt. We can try to vote people into office that want to do the right thing, but unfortunately, fiscal responsibility and financial reform are not hot-button political issues right now. And they never will be, ladies and gentlemen, because normally people vote people in that are going to do good by them, right? And everything revolves around money, unfortunately. Snyder added that what we can do is get our financial houses in order. Now is not the time to take on more debt, and paying off any debt that you have already accumulated would be a very good thing when the debt-based economy comes crashing down around us. Although it may seem like a difficult task to undertake, the paying off of debt and choosing to no longer rely on credit, it can be done. A great resource, okay, so he's going to go ahead and advertise Dave Ramsey's book here. I'm just going to finish reading this. A great resource is Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. This book is a sort of easy to follow pseudo tutorial of how to work your way toward financial freedom and personal wealth. The best time to prepare for the inevitable debt-based systems collapse is before it actually happens. There may be adequate warning this time, and we know that those who are prepared have a much better chance of making it through a recession unscathed than those who do not. So, ladies and gentlemen, going back to what I've said several times in the past, I don't believe that a full-blown SHTF is going to happen. All right, I don't think that we're going to have a World War III. All right, I don't think that we're going to, have a war where the U.S. is going to be invaded. Like a full-blown SHTF where there's people in the streets fighting and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that we're going to go through an awful lot of pain. All right, and throughout that, there may be chances where a government gets elected by the people that is not good for the country, all right? Because what I see that can happen is that the average American person is in so much pain and in such dire needs that they will be willing to vote for anyone that says, hey, I'm going to stop the pain, but you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to give this up. You're going to have to give that up. Pretty much, you're going to have to give up some of your sovereignty. You're going to have to give up some of your freedoms in order for me to be able to stop the pain. All right? That's what I see that can happen. All right? And in a way, that's a dangerous situation for, I hate to say democracy, because we are a republic. All right? We are a constitutional republic. But unfortunately, we have not acted as such for a very long time in this country. Okay? So people will vote someone in that is going to try to stop the pain. All right? And in doing so, we may be giving up that which makes us America, and that's freedom. Right? Because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are still relatively free in this country. I mean, anyone can stand there and say, we're not free. We have to pay taxes. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to ask permission to do everything, right? When you think about it, we have to ask permission to do everything. You have to ask permission to drive, right? In the form of registration, in the form of having to have a license. You have to ask permission to build a house in the form of codes, in the form of paying taxes, you know, in the form of paying for building permits, etc., etc. You guys can go on and on and on and on. But when compared to the rest of the world, we are relatively free compared to the rest of the world. All right. And that is what I hope that we can preserve. Not only preserve it, but make it better than what it is now. All right. But I don't see an SHTF where people are going to be, you know, in a Mad Max world. I just don't see that. And I don't see a World War III, because I don't think it would be good for anyone. And what I mean by World War III would be like a nuclear exchange, because when that happens, it just poisons the whole world. Nobody wins when things like that happen. I know there's different types of nuclear, you know, arsenals out there. I know there's dirty ones. I know there's clean ones and things like that, right? But I don't see where we're going to have a full-blown SHTF. So get ready. How do you get ready? Well, you're going to have to, you know, figure that one out on your own as far as your financial house. How do you get your financial house in order? Let me throw out a few suggestions. If you have something laying around in your house and you haven't used it for the last 12 to 24 months, sell it. All right? Use that money to prep. If you want to, if you have a bill that you need to pay off, you know, have a yard sale. Pay off whatever bills it is that you have, especially if it's revolving debt. All right? Pay off your bills. If you don't have any bills to pay off, then that's a great, great thing. You know, still, if you have something that you haven't used in a long time, sell it. Use it to prep. Use it to get something that you know you are going to use. I mean, there's many ways, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone is different, and that's why I always encourage you all to look into your own situation and decide what it is that's best for you, all right? Because what's best for me is definitely not going to be best for you, all right? We're all different, and that's a good thing. So you have to take a look at your situation and see what it is that you can do to prepare for yourselves, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm dragging this on, but another thing you want to think about, you know, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, so I'm just going to say it. A lot of people that say that that having precious metals is not a good thing, all right? So if you look back in history, every time that we've had a recession and things like that, precious metals have always kept their purchasing power, right? Okay, and a lot of people say, well, precious metals are no good for SHTF. What are you going to do, eat it? Right, you can't eat it. But think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I personally don't think we're going to have a full-blown SHTF, all right? But I think we're going to have some very tough and difficult economic times, all right? So let's say that we do have really difficult economic times, all right? And we are still able to trade gold for fiat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say, you know, people start getting laid off, people start getting fired, jobs become, you know, real thin again, all right? If you have some precious metals, you at least have something that you can use to pay your rent. All right, that's going to keep up with inflation and still be able to pay your rent. All right, if you own your home, taxes are not going to go away. All right, if our dollars become worth less, meaning that we get into some kind of an inflationary event, all right, those dollars may not be enough. The dollars that you're earning may not be enough to keep up with inflation. How are you going to pay your taxes if you own your own home or your own land, right? Those are some things to think about. It's always good to be diversified and have a little bit of everything, all right? And that way you at least know you're covered for a little bit of time in each area of your life. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Like I said, I'm going to try to get a video up for Wednesday. All right, that I think you guys enjoy and that won't be as dry as this one. However, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, if you've stuck with me for this long, I really thank you and I appreciate you guys coming. And if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, because we have a really, really good community, and I think that you guys would really enjoy and get a lot out of our community. All right, and just take a look at some of our previous video and see how interactive our community members are with each other. Okay, because I definitely am not the one that makes this community. It's everyone in it. All right, because I learn just as much from the members here than I do from anywhere else. I mean, no, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I learn more from the community members here than I teach. All right, so I hate to even say that I teach, but pretty much saying than what I tell you guys. I learn a lot more from you guys, I'm sure, than what you guys learn from me. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I have a Facebook page now. If you guys want to go on, join my Facebook page, just go to Alaska Prepper, and it should pop up. Okay, I wasn't going to get one because I really never liked Facebook, but I was asked a few times if I had one. I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and get a Facebook page and see if anyone wants to follow there. And I think it's a great thing, actually, now when I think about it, because it allows the community, it allows you guys to post pictures and things on there that you can share with the community. All right, whereas you can't really do with the technology that I have available to me here, which is not very much. You can't really do that. But with the Facebook page, it allows all of you guys to join in and put in your own 2 cents and, put in pictures or your own videos and recommendations and things like that. I think it's actually a pretty good idea to have it, so I'm glad I did it. All right. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.